So, I was talking to my friend about the Neptune and Aries transit. Neptune just moved into Aries yesterday, and it really got my juices flowing and just me thinking about how this will be expressed. And I wrote some notes, and so I wanted to share my thoughts and also read from my book. So, first of all, Neptune is all about universal love, sacrifice, and compassion. It's to do with the mystical, the dreamy, the psychic, sensitive, the emotional, and receptive. It's also subtle and unseen. And it's a planet that is so far away from us that it's in a whole other realm. It's in the spiritual realm, the astral realm. And so it's a generational planet because it takes 14 years for it to change sign. Yeah, so we don't feel Neptune on a personal level. But because it's the energy of disillusion, and it dissolves things, it dissolves realities, and you don't know when something is beginning or ending. So the dark side of Neptune is we're mostly unaware of its workings and what's actually happening, because it's all in the subconscious. So the only time that we will become aware of it is when it's too late, when everything is already dissolved, it's gone. So, and then also we've been in Neptune and Pisces for a really long time, and that's where it's at home, because Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and that's a water sign. So that's imagine an endless amount of water, body of water, and now it's shifted into fire, which is kind of fucking scary. So with Neptune being in Aries, I feel like it's gonna be an initiation, like a spiritual initiation for a lot of people, because Aries is the initiator, it's a cardinal sign, it's the starter of things, it's the initial spark of beingness, because it's the first sign in the zodiac. Because Neptune is, it's all about your spiritual self, and it's the universal self, and Aries is all about the personal self. It's the key word for that is I am. And I feel like it's gonna bring about a lot of questioning of who am I? Because I mentioned earlier about how Neptune it dissolves things, and so with those two energies coming together, it's a dissolving of who you are, but perhaps the ego self, or the self that is self-preserving, because Neptune is all about self-relinquishment. So when you bring the energy of Aries, which is self-preservation, with self-relinquishment, it's what are we preserving and what are we letting go of? And Aries being a fire sign, fire is to do with spirit, whereas water is to do with emotions. So it's gonna feel being baptized in fire, and it is a type of dissolving, but it's in a different element. So kind of like Phoenix energy, where when something is burnt to the ashes and then new life is brought through. But yeah, I feel like that's what it's gonna feel like, the shift from being baptized in water to being baptized in fire. And also I feel like it's gonna bring about a full sense of independence, coming to the realizations of that, especially those that are you know, very much tied to their religion, and it may, you know, bring that awareness of a false sense of self within the religion, or a false sense of independence, and may like propel people into, you know, discovering their own path, their own spiritual path even more. Neptune is all about sacrifice as well. So like, and because Aries is so occupied in like self, there's gonna be like, you know, the need to sacrifice a part of self, or like the collective self or ego, in order for what you believe in. And with Neptune, it's all about like maintaining or restoring a balance through giving. So it'll be interesting to see how it is expressed, because Aries is an expressive sign, but Neptune, its nature is receptive. So it's like, in order to receive, you must give. You must be giving of yourself. And that may bring a lot of conflict, because it's like, if Aries is all about I am, like, who am I? Like, I am this, I am that. But then you have to like give of yourself in order to receive. So I feel like that's gonna create a lot of conflict there. Also, I feel like it's gonna bring the ability to shift our reality through force, through action, through spirit, through fire. And because Neptune has the ability to like persuade, it's all about persuasion and persuading us to see what is real and what's not, or like persuading us of a certain reality. But it's like persuading through force and shifting our realities through force, and through the burning of what was. I also put that there's going to be the challenge of walking through the fire. So it's different to like walking on water, or like, you know, when Moses parted the sea. It's like Neptune, it has this limitless possibility of what's possible. Now it's like shifting what is possible, and like the shift of like parting the sea, or parting or walking on water, is shifting to walking through fire. And that reminds me of Game of Thrones, when Khaleesi like walks through fire. So that's interesting. But yeah, I was just thinking about like the challenge of walking through fire, walking through a different type of challenge, or different type of path that requires like courage. Also, what I was saying about how Neptune is so far away from the sun, like far away from us, far away from the sun, far away from self. It's sort of like, it's a place that you escape to, but also it's a place that is like discarded almost, because it's like forgotten about. But then with the sun being exalted in Aries, and Neptune moving into Aries, it's like Neptune is now being brought closer to us, and our spirituality is becoming more personal. Neptune is actually the liberator of all that confines us. So perhaps as well, like Neptune in Aries is like maybe seeing that we are the reason that we've been confined, and having to face ourselves and liberate ourselves from the part of ourselves that has been holding us back in order to propel forward. So I just want to read a little bit from this book, which is Astrology, a Cosmic Science. But yeah, Neptune's keynote is sacrifice, the obligation to give oneself away. In whatever area of the chart it is placed, sacrifice of self-interest is necessary. This area is where you have taken from others in the past. The symbol of Neptune shows its tie-up with the moon. The cross piercing the moon is symbolic of the emotional suffering that has to be undergone to set the personal self free, making it a reflector of the solar self. So Neptune is the high octave of Venus, and Venus is personal affection. So Venus says, I love you because you love me. Whereas Neptune, being the, divine compassion, it says, I love because it is the nature of love to love. As the ocean eats away the land as it laps the shores, so our negative emotions eat at the physical body and break it down. So it also says Neptune represents social responsibility, reveals the patterns of social obligation, showing how the individual will conform to group consciousness. Neptune subjects you to the group and shows where you must conform to the demands put on you by others. Uranus is the freedom guaranteed by the group. Neptune shows the cosmic debts we must pay. I feel like the shift into Aries, which is all about the individual, is gonna be really interesting to see how as a collective we show up for one another. And it may be that, like, in order to do that, we must relinquish parts of ourselves, but then also deciding what it is we must preserve of self. But yeah, I just think like the elements are really important too. Just the fact that it's moved into a fire sign, it's like you can't ignore now what's in front of you, because when it comes to fire, it's like it's seen immediately. And Neptune being such a unseen planet, I just think it's gonna bring light to so much of what was unseen. And also we as people are gonna also be that light to help others along the way. So I hope you enjoyed this. If I have any more thoughts on Neptune and Aries, I will share, but this was just like the fresh thoughts that were coming to me. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. See ya.